So when you hear the words paleo diet, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably a lot of meat, right? Well, today we're going to hit the rewind button, and I mean way back, to find out what the real ancestral diet looked like. And trust me, it's probably not what you're imagining.
Yeah, the whole mantra today is to eat like a caveman. And you know the image, right? Grilling up a huge steak after some crazy workout, living that primal, powerful lifestyle. It's a super compelling picture, and it's everywhere. In books, on blogs, you name it.
But here's the catch. The caveman we're all trying to copy? He's actually a pretty new character in our massive evolutionary story. If we really want to get what our bodies are built for, we've got to go back way, way further. We need to go past the big game hunters and meet our much older ancestors. Okay, so first things first, let's just tackle this modern myth head on. We really need to pull apart the popular diet trend from, the actual gritty reality of what it took to survive back then. So the rules for the modern paleo diet are pretty straightforward, right? A ton of meat and fat, no grains, no dairy, no processed sugars. It's all built around this idea of ancestral eating. So let's put that idea to the test against a few million years of actual history. What do you say? All right, you're going to want to buckle up for this one. We are rewinding the clock, and I don't mean 10,000 years, not even 100,000. We are going back over 4 million years to meet the ancestors who literally set the stage for everything that came after. Just take a look at the massive scale of time we're talking about here. That big game hunting, the very foundation of the modern paleo diet, it's just a tiny little blip at the very, very end of this timeline. For literally millions of years, our story was all about generalist foraging and, you guessed it, a mostly plant-based diet. And when we talk about these super early ancestors, you'll hear the word hominid. It's really just the scientific term for all our family tree, all the species, including us, that came after we split off from the chimpanzee lineage. So for our deep dive today, we're going to zero in on one key player, Ardipithecus. I want you to picture this. We're talking over 4 million years ago. And they're not on some big open savanna. Nope. They're living in the woodlands of modern-day Ethiopia. And that environment, it shaped absolutely everything about them, especially what was on the menu. So what was actually on the menu for these guys? Well, the most important thing to remember is that survival wasn't about sticking to certain food groups. It was about one thing and one thing only: getting enough calories to live to see the next day. So a typical day wasn't about a big, glorious hunt. It was a foraging. We're talking hours and hours of digging for tough roots and tubers, gathering nuts and seeds, maybe finding some seasonal fruit if you got lucky. And protein, that usually came from things like insects, grubs, bird eggs, maybe a tiny lizard. A big animal, that was like winning the lottery, and you probably only found it after a real predator was already done with it. And this quote just nails it. Our ancestors were not at the top of the food chain. Far from it. They weren't these mighty hunters. A lot of the time, they were the ones being hunted. Their true genius, their superpower, was being the ultimate opportunists. They could find a meal in just about anything. Now, get a load of this number. For a lot of these early hominins, scientists figure that something like 95% of their calories came from plants and insects. 95%. Meat wasn't the daily special. It was a very rare, very high-value treat. So you're probably thinking, okay, but how on earth do we actually know any of this? It's not like they left behind recipe books, right? Well, the answer is literally written in stone, or more accurately, in the fossil record. It's in their bones, and especially in their teeth. Just look at the evidence right here. On one side, you have the teeth of an early hominin like Ardipithecus. See those big, flat molars, that thick enamel? That's a grinding machine, built for crushing tough plants. Now look at the lion's teeth. All sharp points and blades designed for one thing: ripping flesh. I mean, our dental hardware tells a pretty undeniable story, doesn't it? And it goes way beyond just the shape of the teeth. Scientists have this whole forensic toolkit they use. They can look at the microscopic wear and tear on the enamel to figure out if they were chewing tough plants or soft fruits. They can even do chemical analysis on the bones themselves to find the signatures of the foods they ate. It's just incredible detective work that gives us this amazingly detailed picture. So, okay, after digging through millions of years of evidence, what's the real takeaway here? What is the actual lesson from our deep, deep paleo past? What is our true ancestral heritage when it comes to what we eat? It's one simple, powerful idea. Dietary flexibility. Our superpower as a species isn't our ability to eat a lot of meat. It's our amazing talent for adapting, for being able to eat and survive on a massive variety of foods. I mean, that is the trait that allowed us to walk out of the woodlands in Africa and eventually live on every single corner of this planet. That adaptability, that's the true hallmark of being human. And this really just sums it all up perfectly. The modern myth, it's all about meat, with super rigid rules, and it romanticizes hunting. But the prehistoric reality, it was plant-dominant, incredibly flexible, and it was all about survival through foraging and opportunism. It wasn't a diet with this set of rules. It was just eating whatever you could possibly find to make it to the next day. And that leaves us with one last big question to think about. If our entire evolutionary success story is built on being flexible, on our ability to eat pretty much anything and everything, then what does that say about our modern obsession with super restrictive diets? Definitely some food for thought. Thanks for joining me on this one.